In both last week's Parsha and this week's Parsha, we find ourselves dealing with all sorts of situations in battle. It would sound as if war plays such an important role in Torah, and I guess in the Jewish culture. Which I guess would leave us a bit puzzled, maybe disappointed. Until you actually study the different mitzvos that we've got in battle. So let's take Bal Tashchis. What does it say? You're attacking a city? Don't chop down the fruit trees. Rosh explains, he gives something of a novel way of describing it. He said that in those days, battle was primarily with bows and arrows, so they needed wood. Why chop down a fruit tree if you can take a tree that doesn't bear fruit? It is from there that we learn the entire halacha of Bal Tashchis, which is don't waste. Why did the Torah choose the case of battle? You see, it's not because war is what it's all about. The Torah says even in battle where there's wanton destruction everywhere, before you chop a tree down, you stop and ask yourself 1 second, is there a need to chop down a fruit tree? So certainly, your own home, don't just waste things. Be efficient. So the Torah chooses the situation of battle to teach us even in battle. Another one, this is one of my favorite. I was sure it was true, then I found it's a Medrash Tanchuma. In battle, kisatzur al ir, v'karose elel shalom. Before you attack the city, you have to offer them peace. You offer them to surrender peacefully. So what is the Torah teaching us? When you go to war, don't just destroy, offer them the option of surrender. The words the Torah uses, v'karosa elel l'shalom. So you got to hear the Tanchuma. Tanchuma says, the Torah is teaching you, even in battle against your enemy, see if you can find a peaceful resolution. Certainly, among your own, this mitzvah would require that we make peace. When there's disagreement, when there's strife, when there's hatred, this mitzvah of a karase elel shalom in battle is teaching us that the Jew must always pursue a path of bringing things to a peaceful resolution. So if you're going to fight the enemy, you offer the peaceful solution. Certainly, you have a disagreement with someone, work it out. Fine. In this week's parsha, we've got a third one. I'll do another one first. The end of last week's parsha. Eglah Arufah. What happens? So it doesn't say it's in battle, but it's surrounded by battle. The parsha before it, and then this week's parsha begins with Ki Seitzei la melchama. They're both talking about battle, and in the middle of it, it talks about finding a body, and you don't know who killed him. So there's a whole ceremony of Eglah Arufah. The local leadership has to come out there. They have to behead a calf, wash their hands, and say, we're not responsible. Which of course means that they have to do their soul searching. How could such a thing have happened? How could someone have died he's unaccounted for? We have no idea what did it. Is there anything we did that wrong? So for example, was this a stranger that came to town? He was not received properly or was not escorted properly. As a result of it, he left with a lack of self-confidence. He was attacked, couldn't defend himself, and ended up dying. And for that, we would be held responsible. So we've got to do our soul searching. If there's someone unaccounted for, there's somebody we just don't know what happened. The whole nation, in fact, has to do their soul searching. According to one opinion, the whole Sanhedrin has to come out there. The Torah placed that in the middle of battle to let you know that even in battle where there are casualties, if there's someone whose death is not explained, then we got to do lots of soul searching. How much responsibility we've got for it. So here too, the Torah sticks this in the middle of the situation of battle to let us know, even in a situation where you would expect people to fall, understand one life, one person where we just don't know what happened is a major calamity, and everybody's got to get together and figure out, why did this happen to us? We've got to do our soul searching. Now we get to the next one. There's a mitzvah. When you go to battle, you got to take armaments with you. The Torah says there's something else you've got to take with you in battle. V'yosed tiyeh lecha lazeinecha. You are to take a spade or shovel with you. What's it for? There are no washrooms on the battlefront. Cover up after yourself. Clean up after yourself. Your mitzvah? This is one of the 613. When you go to battle, keep the battlefield bathroom clean. What's that mitzvah? Health, cleanliness. So the pasuk continues. Ki Hashem Elokecha mishalech b'kerev machanecha v'hayom machanecha kadosh. Hashem is there with you in your encampment. Your camp shall be clean. It should be holy. You shouldn't find something disgusting and leave. So it's interesting. There are some Rishonim that learn that this is a special halacha in battle, that the camp in battle has to keep a special level of kedusha, of holiness, because when Jews go to battle, it's holy. Hashem's there. However, one of the Monei HaMitzvos, the Smak, Rabbi Yitzchak Mikurbil, who is one of the Balei Tosfos, he counts this as the mitzvah of tznius. One second, he's talking about the battlefield. He is understanding that the Torah is saying, even in battle, don't compromise on your dignity. Generally speaking, when people go to battle, if they're lucky, they preserve their humanity. And even that can't be taken for granted. In battle, when your life is on the line, instinct takes over. All you think about is survival. Says the Torah, no. Maintain your dignity. Clean up after yourself. Says the Smak, this is the source to the entire concept of what we call tznius, which is dignified dress, behavior, speech. And if it says so when you're in battle, then certainly when you're not in battle. Appreciate, to begin with, you're a human being, which already says a lot. Humanity is not part of the animal kingdom. We're human with brain and heart. We have the ability to understand. We have the ability to dissect. We have the ability to make sense of things. We also have sensitivities. We have to learn to respect ourselves, and certainly as Jews. Jews, we've got a special divine neshama that only a Jew does. Maral writes that the Jew is not just a human being with a bunch of mitzvos. The Jew is a whole different being. I think a very important part of what makes us not just human beings is what you've come to learn here. Yeah, we're the people of the book. We're a bit obsessive about education. True, but it's much more than that. In our study, in our pursuit of wisdom, we are not just looking for information. We're looking for depth of understanding that permeates not only our brain and heart, but accesses our neshamas. We are a different being. The odds are you have experienced it to some degree. You may not be aware of it. But when you immerse yourself in study and a pursuit of real growth, you're going to meet up with your neshama on a regular basis. And you're going to realize that the Jew is a whole different class of being. And one of the things that you're going to have to learn to do is respect yourself as a result of it. Develop a sense of special dignity for being a Jew. In the way you think, the way you talk, in the way you deal with others, the way you conduct your lives. Learn to be finer, more sensitive. One of the, I guess, most blatant examples of the difference between the Jewish people and the rest of humanity are the laws of Lashon Hara. Every progressive society has some kind of law against libel. What's libel? Defamation. Spreading false rumors about somebody else, maliciously. We are the only people on the face of this earth that believe one does not speak negatively about another person even though it's true. There's got to be a very clear, constructive purpose. And it's got to pass lots of conditions before you say a negative thing about another human being. Ideally, before you express negativity about anything, because the root is the same. This is not a bein adam l'chavero alone, the idea of not hurting somebody else. This is maintaining our own dignity. It is beneath us. You're going to sensitize yourself to this. You're going to find that after spending a certain amount of time in yeshiva, when you are then in the company of others that are unaware of this, you're going to feel so uncomfortable. When people talk about this one, that one, every member of the family, of course, all the competition. You're going to feel so out of place because you've tasted better. We're finer people. We're more sensitive people. We're elevated people. I don't want to sound archaic, but we're not aristocracy. That's what this mitzvah is about. It's not about germs. So it helps. But it's not about germs. Not about cleanliness. Is that we, the Jewish people, in battle, maintain not only our humanity, we maintain our dignity as Jews. And you're going to learn that it makes you feel differently about yourself. You start respecting yourself in a different way. You start believing in yourselves. And you're going to go very far. So, going back to what we started with, it's not that the Jewish people is all about war. You know better than that. The Torah chooses these situations to let us know that even in a situation of war, the Jew doesn't lose his concern for human life, doesn't lose his concern for wasting, destroying nature needlessly, doesn't lose an appreciation for the importance of peace, and doesn't compromise on his dignity. The time you spend here should be productive. You should pick up a lot of information, a lot of skills, but above all, you should all find yourselves elevated people, bigger people, finer people, more sensitive people. And then you can plan your lives with a whole different understanding of where you can get to, what you can be like, what you can do for humanity, and of course for the Jewish nation. Yeah, may this be a wonderful Zman, and may this year be a great year in your lives.